talk about in at the deep end. Two of the finest players in the modern game going head-to-head, and one of the finest commentators in the game right now is sitting right next to me, Dominic Dale.
Good morning, Phil. Good morning, everybody. That's very
best of 5.
kind thing for you to say, Phil. Appreciate that.
Okay. No, best of 5, so 3-0 finishes it,
Ronnie just inquiring with our
First
referee, Rob Spencer, as to the
Wilson.
format here. There are two variations of the Championship League. There's a ranking event version and this non-ranking event that we have here.
Over on table 2 right now, it is Ricky Walden against Ali Carter. And as always, we'll keep you right up to date with events over there as and when they happen.
These Rasson tables here at the Morningside Arena tend to play very quickly. This is Ronnie's first crack at the Championship League here in its group format, coming at the final group. So one chance for him to take his place in the winners group, and one chance only for winning this group. Oh, that's an excellent pot from Kyren. It really is, queuing awkwardly as he was there. Managed to control the cue ball nicely for choice of green or brown. Matches here, as always, a straight best of 5. Kyren maybe just a little short of pace there. Is he on that red that's just above the black, I wonder?
Judge the pace of that cannon quite nicely. This is a little tricky, but at least the black will go. Unlike O'Sullivan, who is coming into the tournament for the first time this year.
30.
Kyren Wilson's playing in his 4th group. Only one other player has been involved in 4 groups in this year's event. Lu Ning, who has been
40.
eliminated now. Wilson would desperately love to make it 5 groups by getting into Thursday and Friday and retaining a chance, of course, of successfully defending his title.
Well, this is a bold shot from Kyren. He's taken the more difficult pink on here for positional reasons. Wow, he struck it so well. In all honesty, it could have finished better for him. There are still 5 reds all jammed up there behind the pink spot. Does have a choice of reds into the left corner. But positionally, they're not ideal for Kyren. He may play the run. Well, he could play the red into the right corner, but he knows he'd be cannoning immediately into the red just below it. So that would be a problem. So a little bit of work to do here.
Kyren Wilson 20.
Must be honest, Dom, I'm surprised to see O'Sullivan here. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm glad he is, because commentating on him, watching him is a real pleasure. Let's hope he can get into a real rhythm, a head of steam.
Ronnie knew that he the cannon on the secondary red was unavoidable. I was hoping for a bit of luck for position, but I'm not sure if pink or black are available. But the way he's looking at the reds here, Ronnie, tells me one of them may pot. Maybe the black. Oh, that's gone astray. And it's also run safe, so that will displease both players. Although the pink is handily placed there. Chances for Kyren again. Red's in good positions, one good pot to get in, and every chance he could take this opening frame from here.
Wilson was playing on Sunday night at the Temperdrome. Now you're thinking to yourself, how's that possible? Because Zhao Xintong whitewashed Yan Bingtao 9-0 to capture the title in the German Masters, which of course is true. But the evening session lasted about 20 minutes, so they needed an exhibition. Wilson was still in Berlin, and so he played the exhibition against Germany's own Simon Lichtenberg. Filled the breach.
That's a rather lusty bounce from that left-hand side cushion. Kyren was very lucky to be on this pink in the end. Now, it will benefit Kyren greatly if that pink goes onto the black spot, which it does. Black is out of commission and will probably remain so. Kyren looking at a plant here, but I'm not sure it would be the best plan of action here, because if he does eventually pot the pink afterwards and the pink goes on its spot, well, I was going to say there might be a chance the pink could be tied up, but he's managed to run through the reds there and probably develop the pink spot, although it's better, I think, where it is on the black spot. So the pink does go on its spot, and it may be a bit awkward this for Kyren, because I don't think the pink will pass the red to the right corner, and it has too much angle on the red to the left centre to hold for the pink. So it may have been better if Kyren had have played this red previously instead of the plant. Well, Kyren has managed to negotiate himself through all the difficulties, and now it should be far more straightforward from here on in. Just this red and one more colour required to take the first frame here.
40. $46. 47. 53. 54.
Won't be easy now to continue the break and go on to possibly make a century here. Well, the pink goes in, so the century break is still on.
60. Kyren Wilson 60.
No century, agreeable start for Wilson. O'Sullivan, being that this is the first frame, trying to get a little bit of table time, and who can blame him?
Yes, Ronnie will probably play a series of shots whereby he can judge the way that the cue ball's responding from the cushion rails, and he may play a certain type of shot that enables him to gauge the reaction out of the balls on the cloth. Won't be able to do that here though.
The first frame on the other table, also one-sided. But, unlike O'Sullivan, Ricky Walden concedes. With reds on the table, Ali Carter leads 1-0.
Well, that's an early sign maybe that the cue ball could be drifting off course a little there. No way Ricky Walden. Kyren Wilson wanted to leave the red over the corner pocket there. So a chance here for Ronnie to get a feel of this cloth and assess its speed.
Six. 7.
This is the kind of cloth, the kind of general playing conditions that O'Sullivan usually relishes.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 40.
Must say though, Dominic, with only 6 balls on the table now, I am surprised he's carrying on, especially being in a spot of bother like this.
Foul. Kyren Wilson 4.
Yes, back in decades gone by, it was always thought if you carried on like this, having watched your opponent make a decent break and look so good early on in a match, you can knock them out of their rhythm, but I think that matters less and less these days. But I think this is good from Ronnie. It shows intent that he's here to win this group and not just make up the numbers. I only say that with Ronnie because in times gone by he has played tournaments and has played matches where he's looked decidedly disinterested, but certainly doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
He went through a phase last season where he refused to concede frames, went right down to the wire in every one of them, even though he was well behind. He was making the point that it was useful practice out there on the match table, and he wanted to make the most of it. Get a really last drop of value out of the frames and the matches. Can be annoying for his opponents. In the vast majority of instances, Wilson would have expected a concession here.
Yes, it does seem a little odd that Ronnie is deciding to continue the way he is. He'll certainly have an idea of the way the table's playing now. So just why he's continuing is, well, it's a bit of a vexed question.
Mind you, look at the World Grand Prix final, which he won in a blaze of glory in the end against Neil Robertson in the 8th frame, the last frame before they broke between sessions. He won it after needing 2 snookers. First frame of the night, he only needed 1 snooker and conceded. So I think if you apply rhyme and reason sometimes, you're left wanting.
Foul. Ronnie O'Sullivan 2, Kyren Wilson 7.
Get the impression, Dom, this is going down to the black. Not the frame in terms of how it's decided, but in terms of the balls potted.
3.
Well, we'll find out very shortly.
Kyren Wilson 3.
It would seem, Phil, as though you're absolutely right. It was discussed a few years ago in certain players' forums whether it ought to be considered where if a player required 4 snookers, whether the frame should be deemed as over, completed, conceded, no matter what term you wish to use in that situation. But, well, there isn't any reason really for Ronnie to continue here.
Yeah, there's no practice value when you get down to the brown, surely.
But like you say, it will annoy Kyren Wilson that this frame has been unnecessarily prolonged.
And the best way to finish the frame off is to knock them in.
It's all mind games, really. If I were Kyren here, I'd play a safety shot from the pink just to try and get into Ronnie's head.
50 on the first frame.
Well, it took a while longer than we imagined it would, but Kyren Wilson was always in command of that frame, and he takes, eventually, a 1-0 lead.
pool.
The second frame.
We're off and running in Group 7 of the Bedvictor Championship League. Kyren Wilson took the first frame against Ronnie O'Sullivan with a break of 60. Over on table 2, Ali Carter making a 63 break to draw first blood against Ricky Walden.
The way these cushions are playing, it's going to be very difficult for a player to get that cue ball in behind the green and not leave these long reds on from the break-off shot. These cloths are brand new. Cushions are, well, to use a player's term, sliding. And the cue ball rebounds from the cushion rails. It skids a little, thereby narrowing the angle. But Kyren was a long way off with that one. Ronnie attempted to play the cue ball into the bulk and return that red towards the pack of reds, but the cushions just caught him out there. Didn't expect the double kiss. Now I wonder if Kyren may try to bring the black into play here.
One.
Played to just nudge that red away from the black and just missed the cannon. Now, because of the red in bulk, I'm sure he'll be taking colour on here. Could be that Kyren expected to cannon the black there. Oh, super pot. That's exactly the way Kyren likes to play them. He does like to punch balls in.
6.
He has a wonderful touch, as all professional players do, but he's not a natural touch player. He likes to punch balls in like players of yesteryear did. Players such as John Parrott, Mike Hallett, people like that. They used to play the same way.
7.
Now, question I'd like to know the answer to. We may get the answer to it shortly. Does that black pot into the left corner, I wonder? Well, Kyren can't play for it now anyway. He's too low on the red above it. Work to do positionally here for Kyren. He can't avoid cannoning into other balls here. He may punch this red into the corner pocket with a lot of topspin and just plough that cue ball through the reds. Well, if the black does pot into the left corner, it's very awkward with hampered cueing. Well, he's having to apply a lot of side spin, as you can see here. I don't like this at all. No. The only way he could not have to bridge over that red was to apply a lot of side spin to the cue ball, as Kyren did then. Made the pot so much more difficult.
Yes, imparting that amount of side spin on that particular kind of shot. Would have been really tough had he not had any intervening balls in the way. Not surprised he missed it at all, and so now O'Sullivan has his first really good chance of the day. Can tell you, by the way, Ali Carter has just made a 73 break, so he leads Ricky Walden very rapidly, 2-0.
I'm sure Ronnie would prefer to move that red away from the black spot area before potting the black.
These two have met twice before in the Championship League.
40.
Both in Group 5 last year.
50.
O'Sullivan won 3-0, but when they met in the semi-final of that group, Wilson was a 3-2 winner. Came back from 2-1 down with a couple of century breaks.
20. 21.
Ronnie this time may well play for the red next to the black. And he's judged that pretty well.
26.
Could hold for the black here, but he'd have to just drop this red in almost pocket weight to be nicely on it.
$27.
Well, play for the pink, but wasn't straight enough on it to hold for one of the loose reds next to the pink spot, so had to screw through the reds as you saw, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out for Ronnie. This red is still on to the centre, but it's very tricky. Oh, well played.
34.
But that cue ball's running on. He's tempted by the green to the centre. He's thought better of it in the end, but that's gone wrong. So that's a foul.
34.
A free
Kyren
ball.
Wilson, 4. Free ball.
That cue ball did seem to deviate heavily towards the bulk cushion there when Ronnie tried to roll in behind the green.
Well, if you're going to have a cue ball roll off like that, that area of the table is a prime candidate for it to occur, because it's the slates, isn't it? Tell you what, whatever happened, it's changed the whole complexion of the frame. This will give us a good view. Well, there you go, it turned a corner. It turned a corner. you know, the shot that O'Sullivan played. Yes, he was out of position, but had he laid a really good snooker in behind the green, Wilson would have been in trouble. As it is, he's now in prime position. This is the shot. Look at this. You see it occasionally. It crops up now and again. Never nice, though. It's all about the slate line.
7.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Phil. There are 5 slates, about 1 inch and 5/8 or 1 and 3/4 thick. And of course, when they're butted together, there is a slate join, and quite often they have to be filled to eradicate that join. And the first joint in the first slate is about 1 inch above the bulk line, as you see. And that's exactly where Ronnie was attempting to roll into the green from, about 1 inch above that bulk line, as I say, right on the join of the first slate. There has been experiments as to whether it's thought worthwhile producing a slate that actually you have the first join along the bulk line, but that causes problems as well with respotting the colours. So it was never introduced.
30.
But anyway, it could prove very costly. That unfortunate mishap from Ronnie's point of view. Kyren now within 4 points of Ronnie. The red's at his mercy. Just that one awkward one next to the black.
Just one final thing. When you see a ball banana like that on a slate line, it's happened to everyone at some point. It will have happened to Wilson. So he's rationalising this and saying, OK, it was bad luck for O'Sullivan, but it's up to me to make the most of it.
Well, Kyren will have to screw back for the red near the right side cushion here because he's very straight on this pink. Oh, but didn't cue it well. Reprieve for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Perhaps just too much of an eye on the positional aspect of that, so Kyren comes back to the table again with a second chance. But he'll need an angle on a colour here, I feel, to develop that awkward red next to the black.
Well,
I can't believe Kyren took the risk there. He tried to cannon the red away from the black and be on the black, but there was a much bigger chance of failure there.
yellow ball, thank you. Kyren Wilson.
Well, I don't know about you, Dom, but the cue ball seemed to veer off there as well. Ironically, getting in behind the green.
Foul. And a miss.
Yes, it is. I've noticed a couple of times the cue ball seems to be trying to find its way towards the centre of the table.
Rob Spencer, the referee. Fine referee he is too as well. Understands the game. He was a good player in his own right, and that really does make a difference, I think, when you apply the rules. It makes you appreciate the rhythm of the game and what's required and what to look for. Do you agree, Dom?
Yeah, absolutely. When a professional referee has a good idea of the game itself and can play at a reasonable standard, they know what to look for when there's a chance that a miss may be called. They'll focus more heavily on the position of the cue ball because they know that's more important than maybe a colour that could be dislodged at some point. So Rob will realise that the positioning of the cue ball here is of paramount importance. It doesn't make it any easier, I have to say. So attempt number 2 for Ronnie.
Yeah, Kyren, thank you. Fast and a miss.
Wow, this must be
Kyren,
close to being a free ball.
I'll check it. I don't think it is Kyren Wilson. No.
I must say from my position it doesn't look quite a free ball, but my goodness, that cue ball having cannon the pink, it could have gone anywhere. These are useful points for Kyren Wilson. Ronnie now, if he does get an opportunity, will certainly need that awkward pink.
Right.
So a third attempt to just flick off the left-hand side of the red. And that will do. Actually, that will do nicely.
Kyren won't want to give Ronnie the opportunity to play a safety shot and bring the pink into play. But it won't be easy here to get both cue ball and the red safe in one shot. May have to focus on one and not the other. Well, audible sigh from Ronnie, but he's got a very good cue ball, and this red is cuttable, but the problem is the cue will be heading towards that pink and that right hand centre pocket. I don't know if this is too risky or not. Oh, it wasn't. He was able to pot it on the thin side and avoid the in-off and the cannon on the pink. That was a super pot from Kyren Wilson. Deserved a better position on the brown, but I'm sure he'll still take it on.
Good pot. Just short of where he wanted to be though with the cue ball. He's now 22 ahead. Just checking the scoreboard as he saunters around the table. He needs yellow and green.
Oh, he won't be happy at being short of pace for position on the yellow. I'm sure he could almost have taken that part of the shot for granted.
Kyren Wilson.
Oh, and he's misjudged the pace of that considerably. He's left Ronnie a chance at this yellow with a perfect angle to get on the green.
The giant is a sleeping giant at the moment, yet to metaphorically wake up. But of course, in this format, you do have some leeway. As for Wilson, this green to middle is frame ball.
14. Kyren Wilson 14 on the frame.
The title holder has made a very agreeable start. Not so Ronnie O'Sullivan, because he trails Kyren Wilson by 2 frames to 0.
This is pool.
Welcome back to the Morningside Arena in Leicester. It's the start of Group 7 in the Bedvictor Championship League. Some big hitters involved in this group, let me tell you. And in our first match of the day on Table 2, one of the great Championship League stalwarts, Ali Carter, has made a really good start against Ricky Walden. Breaks of 63 and 73 have transported Carter into a 2-0 lead. What's more, even though Walden's at the table here with half a chance, Carter's 33 ahead in frame 3. Walden's coming into the tournament for the first time. As for Carter, he's been involved in a couple of groups already. He got to a semi-final of Group 5 and finished in 5th place in Group 6. So survived to be here.
6.
We'll let you know exactly how that transpires. Now they're back to Table 1, where Kyren Wilson is looking to complete a 3-0 win over Ronnie O'Sullivan. Place the 6-time world champion behind the 8-ball immediately.
Excellent safety from Kyren. No easy path back to the bulk end here for Ronnie. And the reds are spread far and wide the way they are. It's very easy for that cue ball to cannon into something. Well, what happened there? Did that cue ball run off? Because Ronnie's misjudged that considerably. I think there could be some fun and games. Group 7 here on table 1 at the Championship League. This table seems to be playing a few tricks.
Seven. Eight.
Kyren will be very disappointed not to win frame and match with an opportunity such as this. It's all about controlling the cue ball, not making it or allowing it to travel unnecessarily far.
30.
O'Sullivan leads their head-to-head series 6-3. He's played some phenomenal snooker against Wilson in the past. The match that comes to my mind was the final of the 2017 English Open when he won 9-2. He was flawless that day. In the tournament as a whole, he was outstanding.
20.
He also beat Wilson on a Rasson table, actually. 10-9 in the final of the Champion of Champions in 2018. And in the summer of 2020, captured his 6th world title at Wilson's expense, 18-8, beating him in the Crucible final. But
20.
Wilson's beaten O'Sullivan on a couple of big occasions. Semi-final of the Welsh Open in 2020, 6-5 from 4-2 down. And more recently, in the quarter-final of the UK Championship this season, 6-5, making a decider. A very one-sided affair with a century.
26.
So although he fully respects O'Sullivan, he's certainly not in awe of the Rocket.
Kyren hasn't controlled the cue ball as well as he would have liked during the course of this break. He's having to work a little for position. He may be hampered a little here as well on the pink. So again, not in ideal position on his next red.
39.
Very dependable though, isn't he, when he's cueing over balls. His very first red in this match was a terrific pot. And a lot of passion and pride burns within Kyren Wilson. He won both versions of the Championship League last season, ranking and invitational, and would love to retain this title.
46. 47.
Not least, of course, Dom, because it would pave the way for him to be in the Champion of Champions next season. Being in the Champion of Champions is not a concern for O'Sullivan. He's already there, having won the World Grand Prix just before Christmas.
Establishing a very handy lead here. Break goes to 54. Pink would make 60. You will need one of those slightly more difficult reds. Those 4 just around the black spot there. Unless, do my sums rather hastily,
60.
if Kyren can roll this red in and play for the black, he would actually be safe.
61.
So, black for potentially frame a match, barring snookers.
Just an anxious moment there.
68.
But the red stops on the precipice.
69.
Yes, Dom, I'll make an early call here, and it is very early. I think Wilson will be one of the
70.
toughest players to stop in this group because he's so highly motivated.
76.
Yes, both he and John Higgins. John Higgins normally plays some very high standard of snooker here at the Championship League. I'm looking forward to his up and coming match. He'll be up next.
83.
Yes, against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now Wilson is a really accurate doubler.
89.
Never in doubt.
90.
Now, can he maybe pop the yellow and screw into the red to knock it towards this left corner?
And we all say it about this table, so we'll say it for the first time in this group right now. He was just foxed by the fact it was so reactive, the cloth. But then again, when you can double balls like that,
90.
who needs position?
Cheers, Kyren, thank you.
Very nicely done.
100.
I can tell you, Ali Carter completed a 3-0 win over Ricky Walden on the other table, and it's going to be 3-0 across the board.
107. 112. 118.
The black for a total clearance. Denied. Nevertheless, though, good performance in the end from Kyren Wilson. Really lovely break to finish things off. He made a 60 in the first frame, a run of 118 in the third, and Ronnie O'Sullivan draws a blank in his opening match because Kyren Wilson wins 3-0. Next up, O'Sullivan remains on table one to take on John Higgins. It's the battle of the valedictorians of the class of 1992.